Welcome back to Enigmatic Echoes channel. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if one day you were imprisoned within towering walls? With no way out, living among strangers and having to follow a series of strict rules? Just hearing about it is creepy, isn't it? When it comes to prisons, most of us immediately think of dark, enclosed places, where people are isolated from the outside world, living a long life in regret. But hey, you know what? This world has many strange things. There are prisons whose names alone send chills down the spine due to their brutality and harshness, as if it came out of a horror movie. Conversely, there are also places designed luxuriously like 5-star hotels. The purpose is not to punish, but to help people change and restart their lives. So, what awaits us behind those iron doors? What is so special about these prisons that astonishes and captures the world's attention? Today, let's open the book of imagination with Enigmatic Echoes, to explore the strangest and most frightening prisons on the planet. I guarantee that after listening, you will no longer see prisons the same way. So, exactly which prisons are they? Let's start right now. The prison of the most beautiful female inmates on the planet. When hearing about prison, everyone immediately thinks of high walls, tangled barbed wire, and the cold stares of guards. But if I told you that there is a unique women's prison in Israel, where everything is not only frightening due to iron discipline, but also because of the isolation that chills the heart, would you believe it? That is Neve Tirza, built since 1968. And to this day remains the only place that incarcerates all female prisoners in the entire country. Contrary to many people's thoughts, this is not just a place to detain criminals. It is like a pressure cooker, always filled with invisible pressure. Inside, Jews, Muslims, and Christians live together in cramped cells. Not only cramped in space, but also suffocating mentally. A cell is only 13 square meters but crammed with up to 6 people. Imagine lying down to sleep at night and even a slight movement touches the person next to you. No fans, no air conditioning, damp rooms, rampant bacteria. Even the right to pray or right to relieve feelings is absolutely forbidden. That is no longer detention, but a way of stripping away dignity bit by bit. This place is not lacking in tears, mostly from mothers separated from their children, missing home. Each visit is only allowed twice a year with short, rushed time. Not enough to hug their children to satisfy their longing. Many are separated from their children when they are very young, causing them pain as if losing a part of their body. More harshly, young inmates, first-time offenders are also imprisoned with experienced ones. Even dangerous criminals. No classification, no protection. And sadly, 70% of them return to prison after release. Because out there, society does not open its arms to welcome a woman with a criminal record. People easily forgive men after prison, but not women. They are hated, driven away, unable to find jobs, with no place to rely on. Recidivism is almost unavoidable. And not only that, many were victims of sexual abuse, prostitution, and drugs. Then when they come here, they continue to be abused by the very people who should protect them. This year, the UN already had a whole anti-torture committee petitioning due to frequent beatings, pepper spray, strip searches, and unreasonable isolation occurring as regularly as daily meals. Yet, in the depths of suffering, human compassion still flickers like an oil lamp in the cold night. In Nefisa, female prisoners care for each other like sisters. They know who's about to break down, who cries silently every night. They share pills and words of encouragement with each other. A place seemingly devoid of hearts is precisely where the warmest feelings are nurtured. Occasionally, prisoners even participate in drama, hairdressing, and fashion, activities that seem simple, but help them rediscover themselves after years of imprisonment. Though they know the future ahead is still far away, at least they have a reason to keep living. And you see, sometimes a prison doesn't just confine a body, but is also a place to reclaim a part of the self that was once lost, right? Sitting and listening up to this point, many of you are probably wondering, once in prison, what else is there to fear, right? About to describe ISN. It's a place that crushes humans, both physically and mentally. In the cold northern region of Russia, on an isolated island, as if forgotten by heaven and earth, exists a place that both folk and media have given a name that's Russia. But do you know what? Alcatraz is child's play compared to this place. Here, the detainees aren't ordinary criminals, but rather the most notorious figures in Russia: murderers, terrorists, rioters, you name it. Now, hearing this, you might think this place is full of snakes, with stabbings, fights, like in American movies, right? But not at all. Here, there's no prisoner-on-prisoner violence, no gangs fighting for power, nor the drug addiction seen in many other Russian prisons. Instead, it's the steel discipline, cruel to the point of inhumanity, that makes people break down day by day. Each prisoner is locked in a tiny cell, barely enough for 2 people to turn around in. And for 22.5 hours a day, they're confined to that cell, hardly seeing any sunlight. Windows? Forget it. TV, books, newspapers? Far from it. They only get to see relatives twice a year, for a few minutes each time, with conversations monitored. And facial expressions must not show emotion, or they'll be dealt with immediately. Staying in there long-term, people break down without being beaten. 2 prisoners have now fallen into a state of clinical memory loss, meaning their minds are empty, no longer aware of the world around them. It's infuriating to hear. As for health, it's not even worth discussing. Half the prisoners here have tuberculosis, living with coughing, weakness, lack of oxygen, no different from a form of slow torture. And if you ask psychologists who set foot in this prison, they'll say straight out, this ISN. In the first 9 months, people might try to adapt, but after 3 to 4 years, their personalities start to change. Trust in others disappears, their psychology becomes distorted, and many live but are no longer themselves. Just imagine, waking up every day in suffocating silence. Only cold stone walls, the distant sound of guards' footsteps, and a cellmate gradually losing consciousness. No one to save you, no one to ask after you, no concept of future or hope. The chains, ISN. But time itself, silently devouring the human spirit bit by bit until nothing is left but a breathing corpse. I'm sorry, but you. This prison is a place to die slowly, not what you might imagine. VN, the most dangerous prison in the world. Would you believe there's a prison where prisoners live like kings? And guards just watch from afar, not daring to intervene, no different from scarecrows? A Hollywood movie, this is a true story from Venezuela, once known as the world. Just hearing about it is terrifying, right? But that's not all. Imagine a prison designed to hold 750 people. Yet at times it's swelled to 10 times the capacity. Meaning over 7,000 people crammed into a hot, chaotic, and cramped space. The overcrowding, it. Not the police, not the guards, but criminal gangs. Here, prisoners aren't just inmates. They're actual crime bosses with power, weapons, and their own world. Sounds chilling, doesn't it? In this seemingly isolated place, there were open drug markets. That's right, openly, with no one stopping or preventing it. Armed guards? They just stood outside shaking their heads in dismay. To even dream of it, they didn't. It sounds like fiction, but it's 100% true. What's more, in that small society, prisoners were divided into 3 main groups, like 3 social classes. The first group was the convicts, living like kings, freely using drugs and moving around as if in their own homes. The second group was the religious, living peacefully, always with a Bible, taking on cooking and cleaning duties. That sounds mild, but the last group was truly miserable, the betrayers. These were the real prisoners, looked down upon, living in extremely poor conditions, no different from being exiled. And that's not all. Homosexual prisoners were forced to live on the roof, with no shelter or beds. At night, wind and rain. During the day, scorching sun. Their lives were tormented every hour, every minute. However, what shocks everyone is that prisoners could have their wives, children, or girlfriends visit at any time. Weekends weren't for repentance. Here, it was time for parties, dancing, singing, drinking, and all sorts of fun that no one dared to stop. So you understand, this prison wasn't a place to detain criminals, but an autonomous underworld where rules were set by the criminals themselves. That's truly infuriating, but Dawn. After years of letting criminals run rampant, the authorities finally regained full control of the prison in 2017. A belated victory, but at least it marked the end of one of the darkest periods in the modern prison system, right? Terror Hotel Prison, the worst conditions on the planet. When mentioning death row prisons in the US, Terror Hotel definitely can't be left out. That's where America. This was the final address for Jahar Tsarnaev, the perpetrator of the Boston bombing. He's on death row here, a place famous not just for housing death row inmates, but also for countless allegations of unimaginably terrible living conditions. You might think death row is tough anywhere, but Terror Hotel goes far beyond ordinary hardship. Prisoners here don't just lie awaiting death. They endure medical, mental, and environmental issues. Many suffer from severe psychological illnesses needing treatment but don't receive proper care. Some are left in states of confusion, delirium, no longer aware of dates or time. And that's not all. The noise here is described as horrific, causing chronic insomnia, nights like days, and worsening mental decline. Hearing this, you might think, well, they committed crimes, they deserve it. But the issue is no one, not even prisoners, deserves to be treated like objects. The peak was in January 2021, when Terror Hotel became the largest COVID-19 outbreak in the entire US federal prison system. It's shocking because even the death row unit had mass infections. Some died from the virus before being executed. The situation was so tense that authorities had to launch urgent investigations. LL be stunned to know that 13 federal executions were carried out in just the final months of Donald Trump. All by lethal injection, right here at Terror Hotel. One case that stunned America was Lisa Montgomery's, the first woman executed by the US in 67 years. The rest were all men, and not just a few. Dozens of death row inmates passed away in a short time, making the prison eerily quiet but filled with haunting memories and silent cries. Ironically, even though executions were paused after the US Attorney General's announcement to review death penalty policies, what happened at Terror Hotel remains a scar, not easily erased. It's evidence of a dark side of the legal system, where people can be stripped of everything, including their last bit of humanity. Just imagine, living in solitary confinement, no light, no hope, no medical treatment, and hearing the echoes from the hallway every time someone is called for their final journey. That is no longer living, but a slow and lonely wait for death. It can be said that Terre Haute is not just a name but a dark chapter in the history of American prisons. The most overcrowded and chaotic prison in the world, Idarama, Rwanda. Mentioning Rwanda, many surely remember the horrific genocide of 1994, a scar in human history, where hundreds of thousands were killed in just over 100 days. After that tragedy, thousands of suspects were arrested, and most of them were thrown into this overcrowded prison, where there wasn't even enough air to breathe, let alone space to live. Can you believe it? 7,000 people crammed into a place meant for 400. No place to lie down, not enough water, not even sandals to wear. Prisoners had to stand barefoot on damp, dirty ground all day, unable to bathe or rest properly. And the consequences were so painful that no one dared to think about them. Many suffered from foot rot so severe that limbs had to be amputated right in prison. Hearing this, everyone must be horrified, but that's not even the worst part yet. This hellish prison had only one full-time doctor for all the people barely surviving inside. One doctor for 7,000 people, under such harsh conditions. What do you think? Sick without medicine, injured without treatment, many could only wait to die in despair. Every day, people died, not from gunshots, but slowly from hunger, disease, exhaustion, and having no hope left to live on. Bodies were carried out one by one, while the living continued to struggle in the chaos, where the stench, suffocation, and constant noise became familiar daily sounds. A prison should be a place of reform, where offenders have a chance to redeem their mistakes. But here, there is no chance at all. T even know if they Why can people allow lives to be pushed to the brink of suffering without anyone speaking up? Is justice truly present, or is it just a name on paper? All these questions remain unanswered to this day. So you see, this story not only saddens us but also makes us reconsider the very definition of fairness. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia. This video might think. On the border between Russia and Kazakhstan, where winters are bone-chillingly cold, and the wind howls like ghosts in a cemetery. Hair stand on end. Black Dolphin Prison, where Russia. A resort or an aquatic park, but in reality, it. And ironically, this name comes from a dolphin sculpture made by prisoners in the camp. Only superficial, inside, it. You know, most of those locked up here never get to step outside that steel gate again. They're individuals who have committed horrific crimes. Mass murder, cannibalism, terrorism, child molestation, all the worst imaginable aspects of society's dark side. Once in Black Dolphin, there's no return. Each prisoner is assigned to a cell of just 4.6 square meters, tiny, like a storage room in the countryside. And in that tiny space, two people live together, completely isolated from the world by 3 layers of ice-cold steel doors, so sturdy that even heavy breathing can hardly escape. No soft mattresses, no cool windows, only darkness, chains, and an eerie silence. Every day, they are monitored 24/7 via cameras. Every 15 minutes, a guard passes by with a flashlight to check. No different from guarding wild beasts in a zoo, and even wild animals are treated more gently. Think it. They are taken to a concrete exercise yard, bleak and barren like a desert, no shade, no scenery, just sky and cement. Want to move around the prison? Please wear a blindfold, handcuffed, bent over, not allowed to look around. It sounds like something from a movie, but these are the strict real rules at Black Dolphin, so no one can memorize the prison's layout in case they get the urge to escape. And if you ask why it has to be so extreme, the answer is simple. Because they are holding individuals with nothing left to lose, ready to do anything to escape or cause harm again. Just a prison, but Russia. Maximum security prison Kenya. When talking about the world's most notorious prisons, where stepping in means losing all dignity and hope, Kamiti in Kenya definitely makes the list. This prison is not only whispered about by locals with a tone of horror but has also startled international media multiple times when mentioned. Just hearing about it sends chills down the spine, let alone being inside. Kamiti was built in 1950 during colonial times by the British themselves. They erected it as a model suppression machine of harsh rule. And the creepy part is, even now, Kamiti still retains the gallows from back then as a constant reminder. Re-in, beware, there. A place designed for 1,200 people but crammed with over 2,500 prisoners, living packed like sardines in a can. Tiny cells, not enough air. Many have to sleep on the ground, stepping over each other to breathe. The hygiene is extremely poor, the water supply is inadequate, and the restrooms are overflowing with disease. Nagifui de chang and kung dong duok roy, Kamiti kong kaila na tu ma kong la o big ben. From HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, dysentery to gonorrhea, syphilis, all diseases are fully present. There is disease, but medicine and medical care are almost non-existent. Stomach pain, high fever, even coughing up blood, they could only lie there and endure, waiting for fate to decide. Kamiti is not only a place for detaining criminals but also famous for having held political prisoners who oppose the government. Many of them, after being tortured, ended their lives with a rope around their necks in the prison yard. Death in Kamiti is often not for sins, but for voices, and the horrors have not yet ceased. In 2018, all of Kenya was stunned when a large-scale prison riot broke out, after inmates suspected that the management was hiding smuggled goods. The scene filmed and broadcast on TV shocked everyone, shirtless prisoners screaming, fighting, and guards using batons to suppress them like in an action movie. I thought security would be tightened after that, but in 2021, Kamiti was in an uproar again when a group of terrorist suspects escaped, revealing that 7 guards had assisted them. They truly have no idea what fear is. If such an incident can occur in a maximum security prison, then where is safe? Kamiti is not simply a detention facility. It is an underworld, a miniature society full of injustice, disease, and decay from the inside out. Some even joke, though it sounds sarcastic, surviving Kamiti is a miracle, but staying sane is a divine wonder. So if anyone asks which is the most terrifying prison in Africa, Kamiti is certainly the top contender. Here, you don't just face the law, but also the struggle for survival every day. Dear friends, we have just explored the 8 most brutal prisons on the planet, where rules, life, and humanity are pushed to their absolute limits. If you know of any prison that is even more eerie, feel free to share in the comments section. And if you find the content engaging, please like and subscribe to the Enigmatic Echoes channel so we can meet again in the next mysterious journeys. And now, goodbye and see you in the next video. Please subscribe to the Migo Noodle Addiction channel so you don't miss any exciting videos.